Episode 1. The Woods Remember. My name is Ethan Sawyer, and I wasn't supposed to come back. Millbrook is the kind of mountain town that forgets you fast old miners, old families, and older shadows. The Adara Mountains loomed over it like sleeping giants. I left after high school and never looked back. Not until now. My father disappeared in those woods 20 years ago. 1 minute, he was checking trail cameras, and the next nothing. They found his truck. No blood, no signs of struggle, just the forest, pretending to be innocent. I was 12. Now I'm 32, burned out, half divorced, a freelance writer, living off clickbait ghost stories and old Ranger files. Maybe that's why I came back to turn my trauma into content. Or maybe it was guilt. I packed light, tent, flashlight, 2 knives. I told myself it was just research, a long hike. But when I reached the trailhead at Shadow Creek, my breath caught. The trees hadn't changed. That same hush in the air. Not peace pressure, like walking into a church that doesn't want you. The first night was quiet, almost too quiet. I camped near the stream my dad used to fish. The water still whispered over rocks like a secret it couldn't keep. Around 2 a.m., I woke up. At first, I thought it was a dream, but my tent was unzipped. The fire was out, and something had left muddy prints around the side, big, wide, not bare. I held my breath. That's when I heard it. A single word, whispered, right by my ear. Asterisk, asterisk, Ethan. Asterisk, asterisk. I spun, knife in hand, but there was no one. Just trees, but they were leaning now, watching. My skin turned to ice. The next morning, I found 3 claw marks etched into a tree near my tent. Not scratches, symbols. Something old. Something curved like bone. I should have left then, but something in those woods remembered me, and it wanted me to remember it too. Episode 2. Tracks in the fog. I didn't sleep the next night either. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the forest breathing. Not wind, not animals. Something deeper, like the whole mountain exhaled and waited for me to answer. The claw marks on the tree stayed burned in my mind. 3 of them, arranged like they meant something. I took a photo, but when I checked my phone later, it was blank. Just bark. I packed up camp and moved further in. Mist clung low to the ground as I walked. The trees pressed closer, branches brushing my jacket like fingers. I kept hearing things, twigs, snapping just beyond view. A soft tapping sound, like someone drumming slowly on hollow wood. By noon, I found something impossible. A boot print, worn, deep. The exact size and brand my father wore. The tread pattern was unmistakable, old Dana hikers. I know because he gave me the same pair before he vanished. I followed them. They wove off the trail, downhill, into denser brush. The prints stayed perfect, like the ground wanted to preserve them. That's when I saw the figure. At first, just a shape between the trees, still, watching. Then it moved fast, jerky. Wrong, I called out, heart racing. Dad. No answer. Only the sound of breathing. Not mine. Something rushed past me. Wind. Shadow. Then silence again. I found a clearing, bones scattered like broken toys. Deer. Elk. One too small to be either. And in the center, a pile of stacked stones. Balanced. Deliberate. Atop the pile was a single object. A ranger badge. Old, rusted. My father's number engraved faintly across the back. I didn't touch it. Not yet. Instead, I backed away. That night, I made camp near a boulder for cover. I didn't light a fire. At 3:17 a.m., I heard the whistle, soft, 2 notes, the one my dad used when calling me home from the woods. Wee-woo. I didn't move. Then I heard it again closer. Wee-woo. And then, just outside my tent, a whisper. You're almost home. Ethan, asterisk, asterisk. Episode 3. The cabin that wasn't there. I didn't sleep after the whistle. Just sat there, knife in hand, watching the tent walls ripple like lungs. The woods outside shifted. I swear the trees moved closer, bending ever so slightly. At dawn, I packed up and walked east, deeper into the reserve. There weren't any trails this far out, just instinct and faded ranger memory. By noon, I reached a rise and saw it, a cabin. It shouldn't have been there. No cabin showed on any map, but there it stood, hunched and leaning, half swallowed by moss and vines. Something about it felt familiar. The closer I got, the more wrong it felt. Its windows were black, the door slightly ajar. A rusted axe leaned against the porch. The front step had a deep gouge claw marks. Maybe, or something dragged away. I knocked once. The echo didn't come back. Inside, the air was stale. Dust hung like mist in the beams of my flashlight. There were photos on the wall, faded, faces scratched out, and on the floor was my old sleeping bag, the one I'd lost as a kid on a trip with my dad. Next to it, a journal, leather-bound, with R.S. etched in the corner. Richard Sawyer, my father. My hands shook as I opened it. The entries started normal. Trail notes, weather, animal sightings. But then, something follows me. It doesn't eat. It doesn't sleep. It waits. It knows my name. I tried to leave. It brought me back. If someone finds this, burn the cabin. Don't stay. Then nothing. Pages torn. The rest unreadable. I looked up. The door had closed. Something moved past the window. I didn't wait. I burst through the back, tore down the hill, ran until I couldn't breathe. When I looked back, the cabin was gone. Not hidden. Gone. Like it had never been there. But in my pack, the journal remained. And that night, by the fire, I opened it again. New words had appeared, not written by my father. Words etched in something like ash. Asterisk, asterisk. We remember you. Ethan, asterisk, asterisk. Episode 4. The voices in the creek. I didn't hike the next day. I wandered. Something about that journal hollowed me out. The ink was dry, but the words still pulsed. We remember you. Ethan. Who was we? I followed the creek upstream. The current ran slow and deep, like it carried more than water. As a kid, my dad always said the creek whispered, if you listened close enough. He wasn't wrong. Around midday, I stopped to drink. That's when I heard it. Voices. Not above me. Not around me. Asterisk below asterisk me. Tiny murmurs beneath the surface. Like whispers trapped under the current. I knelt down, trying to isolate a word, any word. Help! The water shifted. Something moved beneath it. Long and pale. I stumbled back, fell into the mud. My heartbeat drowned everything. Then the water stilled, and the voices faded. I should have left, but instead, I followed the creek further into the gorge. The walls narrowed. The sunlight dimmed. That's when I found the markers. Strange wooden carvings hung from branches. Some resembled antlers. Others looked like mouths sewn shut. All were old, sun-bleached and brittle. Then I saw a fresh one. New rope, still dripping with sap. It had my name carved on it, Ethan Sawyer. And beneath it, the same symbol from the clawed tree. 3 hooked lines joined at the base. I turned to leave, and that's when the forest changed. No birds, no bugs, no breeze, just a thrum, low and constant, rising from the ground. My compass spun. The trees bent inward, forming a narrow corridor. Something was guiding me now, not pushing. Asterisk pulling. Asterisk. At the end of the path, I found a circle of stones. Inside it, a wooden post with a severed radio. One just like the old park ranger units. When I picked it up, it crackled once. Then a voice. Low, guttural, faint. Asterisk, asterisk. You left him. Asterisk, asterisk. The signal died. That night, the journal had a new entry. Handwritten. Fresh ink. Return to the lake. He's still there. Episode 5. The lake that waits. I didn't want to go to the lake. Every step toward it felt wrong. Like walking toward a grave you're not sure is yours. But the journal said he was still there. So I went. It took half the day. The old path was nearly erased. Trees had reclaimed it, like the forest wanted to forget. But I remembered the way from years ago. Fishing trips, laughter, the last place I saw my father alive. By late afternoon, I reached the shoreline. Still, dark, perfectly mirrored. No wind, no bugs, no sound. I stepped to the edge. My reflection looked back but didn't move with me. I froze. Its eyes blinked, slowly, independently. Then its mouth opened. I stumbled back, fell to my knees, and then I heard splashing. Something was moving in the water. I looked up and saw a figure standing waist deep in the lake. It was him, my father, older, hollow-eyed, pale skin stretched too tight, like something had worn him for too long. He didn't speak, but his mouth moved. I couldn't hear him. I didn't need to. I knew what he was saying. Asterisk, asterisk. You left me. Asterisk, asterisk. I ran. Branches grabbed at me. Roots buckled my feet. The forest tried to keep me, but I broke through. When I made camp that night, I didn't light a fire. I just sat there in the dark, trying to forget what I saw. At midnight, the radio crackled again. You saw him. You heard the water. Now you understand. I didn't respond. I buried the journal beneath a rock, but the next morning, it was back in my pack. Open to a new page. Nightfall. The mouth opens. Don't run. And scrawled beneath it, in handwriting not my father's, not mine. Asterisk, asterisk. It wants to wear you next. Asterisk, asterisk. Episode 6. The mouth opens. The journal's message echoed in my skull. Nightfall. The mouth opens. Don't run. I didn't know what it meant, not really, but I felt it. That night came faster than it should have. The sun sank like a stone. The trees blackened against the sky. And then everything stopped. No wind, no sound. Even the crickets were gone. And then I heard it, a groaning deep, earthen, like the mountain itself cracking open. I followed it. I had to. The sound led me to a ravine I'd never seen before, one that shouldn't exist. At the bottom was a hollow, not a cave, not quite. It pulsed. The dirt around its entrance was scorched, as if from fire or radiation. Bones littered the slope, animal, human, impossible to tell, and the smell, like something had rotted for 100 years but never died. I took one step closer. The ground shifted. The mouth was alive. Its walls weren't stone. They were tissue, breathing. I dropped my flashlight. It rolled forward and disappeared inside. Then I heard the voices, dozens of them, hundreds, all whispering at once. Ethan, Ethan, Ethan. Some were children. Some sounded like me. One sounded like my father. I turned to run, but the ground gave way beneath me. I fell. Not far, just enough. Inside was a tunnel, wet, breathing, lined with smooth flesh and black veins. The air was thick with heat and memory. And at the far end, something moved. It stepped into the glow, tall, twisted, wearing the face of a ranger long dead. It opened its mouth. My voice came out. Asterisk, asterisk. You were always meant to return. Asterisk, asterisk. I screamed. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was outside, alone. But something was in my pack. Not the journal. A page, freshly torn. You've been chosen. You were always ours. Episode 7. Beneath the bark. The world was different when I opened my eyes. The colors were off, greens too dark, sky too pale. Like nature had been repainted by a shaky hand. And the forest, it knew me now. It whispered my name through tree bark. Soft, persistent. Ethan. The journal in my pack was still smoldering, but not burning. Its pages curled with heat that didn't consume heat, that remembered. I walked north. The trail reformed behind me. Twice I passed the same twisted pine, even though I never turned. Time didn't behave here. Then I came to the tree, massive, hollowed, its bark etched in spirals, symbols like veins, a doorway. I stepped inside. The air was damp, warm like breath. Inside, the walls pulsed faintly, not flesh, not wood, something between. And there, in the center, was the altar, built from bones, old, worn, familiar, and atop it, a tooth, human, mine. I reached for it and the altar shifted. The tree groaned, not creaked, groaned, and the whispers turned into words. You gave it freely. You came willingly. You are the bridge. Something stirred in the walls. Shapes pressed through the bark from the outside, like hands trying to remember how to reach through. I backed out. Outside, the forest had changed again. The sun didn't move. Shadows stretched wrong. And in every direction, hanging from the branches, were hundreds of small wooden carvings, each one shaped like a man, each one with my face. I ran. No path, just instinct. Eventually, I found a clearing I didn't recognize. Or maybe I did once. In a dream, I forgot. At the center, a stone circle with a single message carved into the ground. You've been walking in your own footprints. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if I had ever left the tree. Episode 8. Through the hollow. I don't remember leaving the mouth. I woke up by the river, soaked in dew, clutching the torn journal page like a lifeline. My boots were gone. My hands were scraped. My breath fogged even though the air was warm. Something had changed. I felt it in my skin. The trees bent away from me now. Animals didn't run. They vanished, as if erasing themselves from my presence. The deeper I walked into the gorge, the less the forest resembled anything natural. Moss grew upward. Shadows bent toward light. I saw myself once standing across the stream. Same clothes, same pack. But he didn't blink, didn't move, just smiled and slowly stepped back into the trees, swallowed by mist. Then came the voices again, but this time, they weren't whispering. They were calling, louder, unified, rhythmic, like a language I once knew but forgot how to speak. At sunset, I found the arch, not made of stone or wood, but antlers, dozens of them, twisted into a gate. Beyond it, the world turned wrong, sky too low, trees too tall. I passed through, the sound stopped, utter silence. Even the journal in my pack felt heavier. I opened it, blank, every page empty, except the very last, one line. You are almost home. Then something stepped out of the trees. Not a creature, a shape, like the idea of a man, without form or skin, blacker than shadow, eyes like pinpricks of white flame. It raised its hand and pointed to my chest. And in that moment, I remembered the lake, the scream, the choice. I had made a deal. I just didn't know it yet. Episode 9. The bargain, remembered. I followed the shadow through the antler gate. My body moved on its own. My mind screamed to stop, but my feet obeyed something older, something promised. The world on the other side wasn't forest. It was memory. Twisted, dead trees bent into hallways. Streams flowed backward. The sky blinked, and everywhere I turned, there I was, pieces of me trapped in loops. A younger me calling for dad, a teenage me running from a scream, a grown me kneeling in the dirt. Over and over, the place fed on moments. I saw a tree etched with symbols, the same clawed mark from before, and beside it, nailed to the bark, my father's watch, still ticking, still warm. That's when I heard him. Ethan. I turned. He stood in the clearing. Not the twisted figure from the lake, not the ranger-shaped thing from the mouth. My father. As I remembered him, he smiled, sad, tired. You finally came back, he said. My voice cracked. Where are we? He looked up. Where the debt comes due. That's when the shadows stepped forward. 3 of them. No eyes, no mouths, just hollow forms draped in ranger uniforms like costumes. They circled, and I remembered the day Dad vanished. I made a wish. I begged the woods to bring him back. I'll give anything, I whispered. Just don't let him disappear. The forest had listened, and it waited 20 years for payment. The tallest shadow pointed to my chest. You are the echo. Dad grabbed my shoulders. You don't have to, but I knew. I stepped into the circle. The journal burst into flame in my pack. The world folded inward. Darkness pressed in. Then nothing, and I opened my eyes. At the trailhead, alone. Hikers passed, laughing. No shadows, no journal, but deep in the woods, something still hummed, and in my pocket, my father's watch, still ticking. Episode 10. Whispers never fade. I tried to go home, packed up, drove out of Millbrook, left the mountains behind, but they didn't leave me. At night, I heard trees creak outside my apartment window, though I lived on the 10th floor. The hum followed me through city streets. I saw claw marks in concrete, shadowed antlers in alleyways. Something had come with me. Or maybe I had never truly left. I checked the news. No mention of disappearances, no strange sightings. Shadow Creek was just another forest again. But I knew better. Then the dreams began. I saw the mouth every night, sometimes open, sometimes not. Sometimes I walked toward it. Sometimes it watched me from across a mirror. And always the same voice. It's your turn now. Asterisk, asterisk. One morning, I woke up to dirt under my fingernails, leaves on my floor. The watch my father wore ticked louder than before, even when I buried it in a drawer. Then I got a letter. No return address. Just my name. Inside, one sentence. Ranger position open. Shadow Creek requests you. And below it, a photo of me, wearing a uniform I'd never owned, standing at the lake, smiling. I burned the letter, but I couldn't forget the image. I see myself sometimes in reflections that move too late, or don't move at all. They smile longer, watch harder, they wait. I keep telling myself it's over, but last night, I found a new page in the journal. I haven't owned that journal in weeks. It said, "They never wanted your father. They always wanted you. Now the watch is gone. The whisper is back. And I know the forest has opened again. And this time, I won't come back." The end.